Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's G from Happiness and Crafting. So I have been coffee staining lots of lovely bits and pieces over the weekend, so I thought I would show you what I've been doing with them. I have made some of these lovely little sort of like vintage postcards, which I'm going to show you how to do in a minute, and they're absolutely gorgeous. I love them. And also my little journal that I made. But first I wanted to show you the lovely fabrics. Now I was lucky enough to have some scrap fabric given to me. There's a lovely lady that has a sort of alteration shop and a fabric shop, and she gave me a big bunch of sort of like bits of fabric that she cuts off clothes, like the hems of trousers and everything. So I cut them all up. I cut all the hems and everything off, and you ended up with this lovely fabric. So what I've done, I have coffee stained most of it. Well, I've still got loads of it left, but I thought I would have a go at coffee staining, and I wanted to get this lovely grungy look. And this is a lovely piece of linen actually, and it's come out really lovely. So I'm really pleased with that. But I've got all sorts of different styles, or not styles, different fabrics on here. I think this is probably a sheet of mine actually. But all these little bits and how different they come out, and I'm just loving it. So I did all of this over the weekend, which is lovely. This is an old sort of like cloth, and it's very threadbare, but I think it just looks amazing. All the texture in it is beautiful here, and you can see it just sort of almost sort of like falls apart when you rip it, but I think it is lovely. Feels gorgeous as well. So that's some of the fabric. I did do some cheesecloth as well. This is a very open weave one, so that's really nice. And I also did some vellum, and this is gorgeous. This has come out really lovely, and it's all that lovely crispy noise that you get. So I will be using that as well. And I just did some cards. So these are just some little cards that I picked up from the stationery shop, really inexpensive. So they make great little cards just to pop into some journals, not necessarily to decorate on them. I have put them in this one here. I've just popped them in like that, so they are just journal cards to write in, which I think look really good, and some postcards as well, which we shall be using today. So this is the journal I made. So on Sunday I coffee stained, I dried it all in the garden. If you go onto my Instagram, you can see it all drying in the garden. Got a couple of pictures on there, and I also made the cover. So I was very productive at the weekend, and I think this looks really lovely. It almost looks like sort of like tie-dye with coffee, isn't it? So I just made this lovely little journal. It's not a huge one, but I did lots of sort of like collaging on here. I tried my attempts at slow stitch on these bits here, so I'm not the best, but a little bit of practice I think, which I think is lovely. The first page was, I've made a just like a little folder bit on here. So this is made at 160 gram paper, this piece, and in the book is 100 gram paper. So I've just made this a little bit harder. Made some a little corner pocket there. I've added some book pages, some of the lovely vellum on there, so a few sheets in here, and I'm loving it. Really simple, easy journal to do. So I'm really pleased that I managed to do all of this in one day, and it's lovely. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to just show you how to make these really simple little vintage postcards. So what I've done, I've just got a basic postcard. This one I popped on upside down, but it doesn't matter, does it? So I've got a layer of the vellum, but I've also embellished the postcard underneath, pop the vellum on top, and then we've collaged on the top of that there, which I'm thinking is really pretty. So it gives it a little bit of depth to it. So I'm going to show you how simple that is to do today. So I'm going to take one of my postcards like that. I'm going to take a piece of the vellum, and what I want to do, let's put those out there, just want to cover this, so I'm just going to pop that on there. Let me do a little bit of tearing. Let's just pop that down. Tear that down like this. Doesn't have to be perfect. So that just goes on the front like that. Before we put that on, I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. Whoops. Now I'm going to use a little bit of the Stays On. So this Stays On is the Timber Brown. So I'm just going to take, this is just a word stamp, just a little bit of script on there. So I'm just pop just a little bit of random script like that on there. I've also got a bit of book paper here. So I'm just going to take a piece of this. And then I'm going to just tear a little piece off and just stick it underneath, just with a little bit of glue stick. Down. Just stick it down like that in there. And then when you put the vellum over the top, you can see, look, you can just see that underneath. Which I think looks really, really nice. And then what I've got a few little bits in here. I've got some of my little embellishments here. Some of these I've actually printed onto tea stain paper, so that gives them that little vintage look, which looks really pretty. I've got some little bits of the fabric which I popped in there, which I've used on the journal. So these are just like little scrappy bits. So what you just need to do, I'm going to take another piece of this. Let's just have that. Just can stick that up there like that. And then we can just have just some random little pieces. This I've actually printed. I did the script stamp onto some of the fabric as well. So I've just printed, stamped onto that. So that looks nice, doesn't it? Let's have a little bit of the cheesecloth as well. Just cut a little random piece. So this is quite nice, this is, because this is a really nice sort of like, just pop things down. Just a little bit of no really thinking, just pop it on like that. Now I do love this fabric here. This is like that threadbare stuff. I think it was an old sort of like dishcloth I had, which has been hiding under my sink for a while, so which has been washed and washed. That's why it looks like this. So I thought I would coffee stain that, and then just take all these lovely little elements and put them on there, and then we can just have one of these. See, and that just sits on top. Doesn't that look nice? Looks really, really nice. I really do like these. Now I have sewn on some of them, well, not some of them, all of them, with black thread. Now I don't normally use black thread, like I said before, but I think these look really nice with the black thread on them. So I'm just going to, of course, we don't want to sew on that piece first. Not that level, was it? Let's make sure it's a little bit straight. So I'm going to add these pieces on. I'm just sticking it down just to hold them in place with the glue stick. Just a tiny bit, just to hold it on before I sew. So let's just stick these pieces on like this, any sort of random way, doesn't really matter. So that looks nice. And pop that down there, and I'll pop that over the top when I've sewn on it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to the sewing machine and stick this down a little bit with a bit of glue stick, just going to quickly just go around a few of these little bits with a little bit of stitching. Again, you can do a little bit of the slow stitching on there, which would look nice, but I'm just going to nip to the sewing machine and just sew it, so I will be 2 seconds. Okay, so I've done a little bit of stitching on here, so let's just cut these little bits off. Again, you can leave them longer if you like, but I'm going to just trim them off like this, and then through the back like that. I think that's all of it. Little bits out of the way, so that looks really nice, and then you pop that over the top like that, so you can see here, you can see all the printing that we did underneath. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to glue underneath the piece where I have popped the book paper. Then you won't see the glue under the sort of vellum. I just want to hold that in place because I'm going to just go around the outside now with the sewing machine before I pop that little piece on there. So another 2 seconds. Okay, so there we go. I've just done some random stitching. We've got some zigzag and then some straight stitching around there, so gives it a little bit more interest. So then I'm just going to stick that. I think I'm going to stick that over the top there. So I think that looks really nice. Now I'm going to pop it on with a little bit of fabric tack on here. I don't want to sew this down, just want to stick this one on like that. So that looks really lovely. So these are a great way to use up little bits of scrap as well. So if you don't have any coffee stain paper, just do this with fabric, any fabric you want, so you can do nice colourful ones as well. But I think that looks really nice. So it's a really nice, quick, simple little project to do, isn't it? And I'm loving them, really do. So there we go, guys. That's a nice little quick one for you. So do go and have a go if you've got the chance to go and coffee stain some fabric, and if you've got some lovely weather, just pop it out in the garden or on your balcony or wherever you are, so you can dry in the summer sun. And when it comes out, I sort of like scrunched it up, and it gets a lot darker. So if that was sort of like in the sunshine like that, screwed up like that, the bits that are out seem to sort of like soak it up, and sort of like get a bit darker. And I think it looks really nice. So they all look so different. So there we go, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a fantastic rest of the day, and I will speak to you all soon. All right, guys, take care. Bye bye.